When people saw Kim Tui's maternity pictures, they were awed how beautiful and normal her pregnancy was looking. But when she went into labor and her doctors saw what was happening, they were left reeling in shock as Kim Tui stood before the photographer. She felt everything but beautiful. Her pregnancy so far had been no fairy tale but an ordeal that pushed the limits of her endurance. Still, she had booked a maternity photo shoot to try and turn that harrowing experience into a pleasant memory. However, she didn't know if she would be able to forget about the discomfort she was feeling from the very beginning. The journey had been marked by constant nausea, an unrelenting exhaustion that clung to her like a shadow, and an omnipresent fear that her body was on the verge of giving in. She had heard motherhood was a gift, but it seemed it came wrapped in the most daunting of challenges. At first, she dismissed the persistent symptoms as normal pregnancy struggles. It was her fourth pregnancy after all, and she had become somewhat accustomed to the discomfort. She believed that time and patience would be the remedy. However, as the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, the debilitating morning sickness coupled with a constant feeling of lethargy never wanted. Kim couldn't remember a moment when she didn't feel as if her body was betraying her, but as the pregnancy progressed, she began to feel her baby kick and grow just like the other ones had done. She felt that this was the only confirmation she needed to keep going and have faith that all would be all right in the end, despite the advice of her doctors. Kim resisted the idea of getting an ultrasound. The fear of the potential harm caused by the radiation on her growing baby consumed her thoughts. Instead, she chose to endure the tormenting wait, hopeful that the symptoms would subside and her baby would come into this world safely. This, of course, made many of her family members quite upset. They were convinced that there was something unusual going on with his pregnancy, which was developing so differently from the previous ones. Still, she was trying to take the challenge in stride as she donned a flowing mocha gown and posed in front of the beautiful calm sea. She smiled with grace and beauty that concealed the underlying exhaustion and discomfort. She knew that regardless of the struggles she had been enduring, she would still want to make beautiful. Share the details of her fantastic night. Molly is happy for her, but thinks it's strange that Steve isn't on the internet. As their conversation unfolds, Noah mentions that Molly's ex-boyfriend, Paul, was working as a bartender at the restaurant last night. It is revealed that Molly recently came out as a lesbian and broke up with Paul. The following night, Noah meets up with her new boyfriend again. While having some takeout, they discuss more about their lives. Noah shares that she has a best friend named Molly, who knows everything about her. After the two finish eating, Steve suggests they dance. Noah is a bit unsure but ends up having a lot of fun. They eventually get tired and sit down. Out of the blue, Steve then asks Noah if I'd like to go on a weekend trip with him. She asks about the destination, but he keeps it a secret. Nonetheless, she agrees as she has started liking him. After Steve departs, Noah calls her best friend and tells her about the upcoming trip. Molly is a bit worried as Noah is going out with someone she barely knows. However, the latter reassures her best friend that she will be fine. She also sends a picture of Steve to her, saying he is perfect, chu tm. The following day, Steve takes Noah to his place, saying they will be leaving for the trip early the next morning. Our girl innocently agrees, but she still has no idea what chu tm is in store for her. She tries to text Molly about her location, but her phone AO's signal appears to be weak. After driving for several hours, they finally arrive at a shady-looking house. It appears to be completely isolated from the rest of the city. Noah is a bit weirded out by this, but she does not to say anything at the moment. After a while, Steve prepares a drink and gives it to her. He asks her to guess its contents, but as soon as Noah tastes it, she feels dizzy and passes out. After regaining consciousness, she finds herself chained up in a room with Steve. He confesses to drugging her, which leaves Noah feeling confused and scared. Steve then drops a major bombshell. He is actually a cannibal who eats human meat and also sells it to wealthy clients. He explains that many of his clients prefer the meat of young women, so he tricks and kidnaps them by taking them on dates. He also tells Noah that he plans to keep her alive for as long as possible to maintain the freshness of her flesh, while removing the body parts slowly. Terrified for her life, Noah tries to fight back, but Steve overpowers her and pins her to the ground. After the cannibal leaves, Noah desperately calls for help. A woman from the adjacent room named Penny answers back, revealing that Steve has kidnapped several women here. As the two women talk to each other, they learn that both of them are orphans. This means that Steve only targets women with no parents, as he knows that no one will come looking for them. Just then, another woman starts singing, and Penny reveals that it's Steve O's other victim named Melissa, who has lost her mind after being kidnapped. On the other hand, Molly begins to worry after not hearing from her friend for a while. She sends her a few messages and surprisingly, Steve texts her back using Noah's phone. He mentions that they are relaxing at a cottage far away from the city. He also sends her an image of a beautiful waterfall and says that Noah is planning to switch off her mobile phone for a while. She is doing so to get away from technology and enjoy nature. Molly, who knows her best friend pretty well, senses that something is amiss. So, she looks up the waterfall image on the internet to find its location. Lo and behold, it turns out to be a stock photo taken from a random website. On the other hand,